All right, folks, we're running a bit late in real life issues, in real life problems, people holding me up. But welcome, all you wrestling fans, to the 26th episode of the Pop-Up Powerbomb podcast. I'm your host, the Moon Man, the man with the stars. I have my partner in crime, of course, the Cerebral One himself, Pineapple Powerbomb Paul. And tonight,
Stop
wrestling
it.
fans,
Oh,
I know I'll get PK started.
no.
Tonight, fans, we share our thoughts on some interesting topics, including more on the McMahon Court Case. Yes, more's come to light. That's going to be first and foremost because there's a lot more to unpack. The Rock joins the Bloodline. We preview the Elimination Chamber coming up this weekend and more. So I hope you all got your snacks and beverages ready. And without further ado, get ready for some story time with the one and only Moon Man and Cerebral One. I already see it, the chat, of course. The Rockin' One, of course. Good to see you, baby. Timmy from across the British pond there. Staying up late to watch us. Great to have you, brother, as always, and the lurkers, of course. Always appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to hit that like button, share this out, of course. It's always a great help. But let's get into the first topic. So the first topic is more, of course, on the Vince saga. So I'll read out a couple of bits and pieces here, and we could dive into it all. So first, Netflix documentary about Vince is in doubt following this lawsuit now. This comes from Ringside News. So back in 2020, news came out, of course, that Netflix is shooting a documentary based on the life of the former WWE head. However, the recent sexual assault allegations slapped on McMahon, the plans to release the documentary have been thrown into jeopardy. Meltzer discussed the topic in the latest episode of Wrestling Observer Radio. He shared what he knows about the project's current status and content. He added that there's been radio silence about the project's release date as the recent accusations have significantly changed the documentary's direction. He said, I haven't heard anything about the release of this documentary anymore. This changes the whole doc 100%. They were pretty much done. It was going to be out very, very soon. I don't know how it can possibly be out very, very soon, though, now with everything going on. So he suggested that Netflix would now presumably cover the latest rounds of accusations against McMahon. If the doc ever sees the light of day, he feels the stories of Janelle Grant and Ashley Mazzaro must be included, as McMahon himself wanted an honest approach for the whole documentary. Meltzer said, Vince himself said he wanted an honest documentary. I don't think he wanted it dishonest, and I don't think at the time he knew that these skeletons would be coming out of the closet, and the stuff that he thought was covered up ended up being uncovered. So as things currently stand, Netflix is yet to give any confirmation about the project's future. Should be noted, despite the negative impact McMahon's troubles have generated in the industry, WWE did recently sign a deal to bring Raw and other content to Netflix starting in January next year. And then that literally happened days before, of course, the allegations. Now, Vince's lawsuit drama, again from Ringside News, intensifies even more, unraveling the mystery of Vince's allegations. So the lawsuit filed by Janelle Grant against McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE continues to garner attention beyond the confines of the pro wrestling community. Recent developments shed further light on the intricacies of this legal battle. According to Sean Ross Sapp's report on Fightful Select, there is significant chatter surrounding the lawsuit, particularly within WWE circles. One notable aspect that remains shrouded in mystery is the identity of the other executives mentioned by Grant in her legal proceedings. Speculation abounds regarding these unnamed executives, with their identities remaining elusive to many within the company. However, credible sources within WWE have suggested that one of these individuals may have parted ways with the company some time ago. John Laurinaitis, represented by his attorney, has begun to make his stance known, a move anticipated by industry insiders. Long regarded as McMahon's fall guy by some veteran WWE employees, Laurinaitis was believed to have certain financial safeguards in place since the summer of 2022. However, the potential escalation to formal charges marks a significant shift in the situation, according to many within WWE. One source commented, "I'm sure he thinks he's doing himself favours by saying management knew and proper WWE protocols were followed, but too many things happened there under his watch." Recent, of course, media attention surrounding the late Ashley Massaro was reignited following a Vice article. According to reports, Fightful had arranged an interview with Massaro in March 2019 for StarCast in Las Vegas that May. She had intended to discuss her plans to return to in-ring training and consider further addressing her allegations of rape during a WWE Tribute to the Troops tour. Tragically, Massaro passed away just 2 weeks before StarCast happened. WWE talent have reportedly not been instructed to avoid discussing the lawsuit in public appearances or interviews, with several being questioned about it. While other wrestling promotions are not actively involved in the investigations, talent from various US-based companies have been given the freedom to address the issue or participate in investigations at their discretion. A former talent, speaking on condition of anonymity, revealed they are contemplating whether to share their experiences through the media or pursue legal action themselves. Ringside News, of course, will provide further updates as the story evolves day by day. And continuing on that note, again, they report from Ringside News, Chicago law firm reaches out to abuse witnesses and victims linked to McMahon. So, of course, Vince, being one of the most controversial figures in the history of pro wrestling, that's a damn understatement now, with numerous stories that often leave fans questioning his humanity. In light of his recent trafficking allegations, the Chicago law firm is now reaching out to witnesses and victims of abuse by WWE. Vince, as we well know now, is facing allegations of sexual trafficking and sexual misconduct from Janelle Grant. In the lawsuit, Grant claims that McMahon distributed explicit content of her without consent, implicating other WWE personnel, undisclosed executives, and wrestling stars. Chicago-based law firm Pintus and Mullins is actively seeking victims related to allegations against McMahon, Laurinaitis, and WWE. The law firm has launched a website, wwesettlements.com, featuring a contact form for individuals who may have experienced sexual assault, made to feel uncomfortable, or witnessed abuse by McMahon or anyone from WWE/UFC. They had to put it that way because of the merger now.
Right.
And because of clearly Brock Lesnar being involved, and at the time of his involvement in everything that was going on, he was deciding whether to stay with UFC or come to WWE. Site mentions an ongoing investigation into Vince and WWE for sexual assault and sex trafficking, citing former employees who have come forward with allegations of serious misconduct. The statement on the website highlights previous accusations, including a 1992 claim by Rita Chatterton, the first female referee who alleged rape by Vince McMahon while traveling with him in his limousine. Also notes that in 2022, investigators seized documents revealing non-disclosure agreements and multi-million-dollar payouts to cover up sexual misconduct. The law firm emphasizes its commitment to assisting abuse victims, encouraging them to fill out the provided form or call for a confidential and free consultation with one of their female attorneys. Vince and WWE are under investigation. Please come forward on any allegations pertaining to sexual assault, sex trafficking, or any other sort of harassment. And so, according to recent lawsuit, the founder and other leaders forced employees to participate in sexual acts by threatening to terminate their employment and share intimate images of them. Not the first time McMahon or WWE have faced accusations of sex abuse. In 1992, Rita Chatterton, the first female referee, came forward with her own allegations. She was raped by Vince while traveling with him. In 2022, of course, investigators seized documents and discovered non-disclosure agreements and multi-million-dollar payouts. Thousands of abuse victims are speaking up every year to receive the compensation and justice that they deserve. Fill in the form or call us today. Now, here's another one. This one coming from Wrestling Inc. Yes, there is more here. We've got about three other little ones here before we can discuss. Why Dave Meltzer believes former executive Stephanie McMahon knew about Ashley Massaro's claims. So, as we know, WWE and Vince right under the microscope. And in Grant's case, it's been the re-emergence of late former WWE star Ashley Massaro sexual assault allegations that was made in 2016 when she alleged that she was drugged and sexually assaulted and abused by members of the US Armed Forces and Vince while on tour in WWE in Kuwait in 2006. She also alleged that Vince abused her again, but WWE denied any knowledge of her claims following her suicide in 2019. It's since emerged that not only were WWE executives aware of Massaro's claims, but there was an active attempt to dissuade her from continuing her pursuit. Furthermore, a friend of Massaro has claimed that former co-CEO and the daughter of Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, spoke to her about the incident, only for the WWE board to subsequently threaten her into silence. Meltzer addressed the situation as it pertains to Stephanie McMahon during Wrestling Observer Radio, reporting what he had heard from WWE talent. He said that those he had spoken to, there was a belief that Vince is guilty of what he's been accused of, and there is no way it could be said that she, and WWE as a whole, meaning Stephanie, didn't know. He noted how the perception of her had changed, as even when the allegations against her father and Laurinaitis emerged, Stephanie had been seen as someone who had lost a power play within the company, leading to her 2023 departure as returned. According to Meltzer, some people have been significantly impacted by Stephanie McMahon's implication. However, it has also raised questions over her husband, CCO Paul Triple H Levesque, considering he is both Stephanie McMahon's husband and a high-ranking official in WWE, as well as Vince's son-in-law. Also, on top of all this, former WWE ring boy is about to give interview about Vince McMahon, Pat Patterson, and others. So after many, many years and amid a slew of sexual misconduct allegations, a former WWE ring boy is coming forward to tell his story about the alleged abuse that went on in the company in the early 1990s. The first part of the interview, which is going to be hosted by Lee Cole, the brother of former WWE ring boy Tom Cole, who took his own life in February 2021, is set to drop, I believe it was yesterday evening, on the Wrestling with the Devil, A. Lee Cole 111 podcast on YouTube. Tom had previously accused former WWE wrestler Terry Garvin, former WWE ring announcer Mel Phillips, and WWE Hall of Famer Pat Patterson of sexual misconduct and harassment. The cinemas for the interview reveals that the interviewee is called Sean. He's a 23-year military veteran and former police. During the interview, he will discuss Garvin, Phillips, Patterson, and McMahon. This will be first discussion about what happened to him as a ring boy in WWE, and he will also shed some light on what others experienced. Garvin, Phillips, and Patterson were all accused of sexually harassing underage ring boys. All three men resigned from WWE soon after, with only Patterson later returning to the promotion. Shortly after Tom took his own life, his brother hid out at McMahon and his former wife Linda on social media, claiming the pair let child molesters work for WWE and did everything in their power to cover it up. An out-of-court settlement was reached with Tom after allegations were made. And so, again, more to come out is, before we discuss, backstage reaction to the WWE lawsuit and Laurinaitis' latest comments. So, however, the latter party has shared some information via his attorney that paints the company in a negative light. Recently, it was reported that Laurinaitis claimed WWE executives knew about Ashley Massaro's sexual assault claim, despite them denying it in the past. However, despite his willingness to cooperate with the investigation, one WWE employee told Fightful Select that Laurinaitis isn't an innocent bystander in all of this. I'm sure he thinks he's doing himself favours by saying management knew and proper WWE protocols were followed, but too many things happened there under his watch and his direct watch. Massaro, as we know, she claimed that she was drugged and assaulted on the military base. on one of their tours over in Kuwait. After reporting the incident to the company, she was allegedly told to keep quiet while they investigated the situation internally. Furthermore, Massaro's friend recently said the WWE's board threatened her into silence during a meeting. Fightful Select report also notes that another source said Laurinaitis was set up as Vince's fall guy after stories of his alleged hush money payments became public in 2022. However, now that Laurinaitis is embroiled in a legal dilemma following the lawsuit, some employees believe he is turning on McMahon to benefit himself. Laurinaitis insists that he's a victim in the lawsuit and has denied any wrongdoing while vowing to defend himself against the charges in court. Meanwhile, several talents Fightful spoke to have revealed that they haven't been prohibited from speaking about the lawsuit in public forums and are thinking about coming forward themselves. There is currently 1 to 2 unnamed former talents that are right on the verge of deciding whether to talk to the media and bringing their own story to light, or just pursuing their own relevant cases directly to this case. So, a lot there to unpack. Hey, what's good, brother back? What's good, boogeyman? Welcome in, welcome in. A lot there to unpack, Paul. More coming to light, of course. Let's discuss. What's your thoughts on all of this, man?
I mean, it's pretty much following the path I thought it would. More people are going to be rolling over on more people as they try to protect themselves.
Yep.
Especially Leonidas, Leonidas he wasn't man number 2 in the company, but he does sound like he was. Anytime Vince had to share bad news, sometimes he would make Leonidas do it. You get to go to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
But this, I think there's no way he's going to be able to insulate himself from this. In the end, I don't think he can't sit there and say, well, I was a victim too. I was forced to do it. Like I said last week, that's like, well, I was ordered to do it, so I had to. No, you didn't. You know what's legal and what's not. At least I would hope so. So,
Yeah.
I do think it is kind of. So we suspect that Stephanie knows more than she knows. So this is going to affect people that both you and I have respected.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have to look back at it and go, yeah, maybe not,
No, well, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, like Ashley Massaro, and I remember her from her WWE day. I mean, the stuff that actually happened to her that ended up causing her to end her life, because she couldn't speak about it. She was being hushed. And everything just got too much for her. She was a person that did struggle with depression, but I mean, with what happened to her, that could really mess with someone in her position mentally. And no amount of money is going to change what happened to it, and not just on that military base, but where she was talking about another incident where it was just her and Vince. That's disturbing, and I feel sorry for any of these. You don't even have to be a female talent with that company. Any females working there, because this is obviously clearly a predator with Vince. And this, I mean, look, I just mentioned it. He had a thing come out about him in 1992, all the way back then. So this is nothing new. He's cheated on Linda several times, and she's caught him out. Clearly a big time womanizer. But I mean, me and you discussed the last time we were on this topic that there's no way that Triple H and Steph didn't know something. That they, not only because one's his daughter, one's his son-in-law, but they worked very closely with him, and so they may. I don't think either one was involved. Obviously, clearly not. But in any of the goings on, but where they're going to be at fault, and where they're probably likely going to be in trouble is how much did they know, and with knowing it'd be more of in trouble because of knowledge and not doing anything. And look, we know that the stories came out, we were talking about last week, that why she left and why Shane left.
Right.
And they really didn't have much opportunity to have their voices heard. All right, but I don't
I
think.
actually saw. I watched a video clip the other day of why Shane said he left, and it had to do with because his dad just basically wasn't listening to him. That's what he said.
Yeah, no, but obviously, clearly, there's more to it, and he
Right.
didn't agree to it, and Vince trying to get him to, hey, come and tap this with me, like, and it's like Shane's like, no, I'm happily married,
Yeah.
not like you, Dad.
Yeah.
But the thing is no court is going to care if Stephanie goes, oh, but we didn't really get a chance to vote. They're not going to care about that. That's
Right.
that's not going to save them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because they should have just, they might not have had their voice to speak within the company. You should have gone outside the company to law enforcement.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. And that's what's going to be said to them. Why did you not go forward? Especially if you truly believe.
Triple H may have the slight boundary of, one, they can't force him to testify against his wife. Two, if he only has her hearsay to talk about, then he's third party. I'm not saying he doesn't have direct knowledge, but he may be able to insulate himself a little bit.
Yeah. She on the other hand, I don't think can. I don't think there's anything she could say. Same with Shane. Shane's probably going to be implicated just by knowledge as well. So Triple H might be safe, he might not. That's something we'll obviously clearly have to wait and see. But there's more and more people just each week that it seems coming forward. They're obviously feeling comfortable coming forward. You got the brother of this, the bellboy.
That's the ring boy. Yeah. That's another thing. I vaguely remember those accusations coming out.
Yeah.
Years ago too.
And now his brother's fighting for justice because he's another one who ended up killing himself over what happened to him, which is not good. People have lost their lives. I mean, thank God this Janelle obviously hasn't, gone and taken her life, but she's it's clearly changed the trajectory of her life because of the mental anguish and damage done of what transpired with her. And that came about with Vince, Laurinaitis, and Brock. And Brock, I mean, that it's quite clear to me that he's definitely going to be in some shit, and people already know that he's going to be in some shit because they've completely scrapped any plans that they had of him. They've scrapped him and wiped him clean. It's come out that Triple H is trying to completely do a Benoit and erase Brock Lesnar from WWE's history. He was taken off of the WrestleMania, special WrestleMania, 40 years WrestleMania cover for the game because he was on it. They've now made John Cena just larger in the spot of Brock. So there's definitely implication. I don't think more moving forward they're ever going to work with him again. I don't think, This is not like, we can get past it because he got done with public urination or drink driving or something like that, like Kurt Angle, and he came back. That's a different ballgame. This is serious, allegation. I mean, involved in sex trafficking and sexual misconduct. That's a completely different ballgame. And clearly, as a company, they don't want anybody that's got anything to do with that. So far he's managed to stay, like you said, he's married to a hottie, and so far they've managed to stay out of the news. So whatever she's feeling, they've managed to keep it on. I'll put it this way: if he gets, I feel if he gets like charged with anything, where it gives her, that 100% confirmation. Oh my God, my husband attempted. Luckily, nothing got to the point of happening. But he was trying. He was trying.
Right.
But attempted to cheat on her. Yeah, I would not be surprised if it came out that she was leaving him. Because you'd be sitting there thinking, okay, I know it didn't get to that stage, but he was attempting to. He was trying to set up to have sex with this woman. What's to stop him from doing that again? The questions would come in. You know what I mean? And I said to you, I can't get over why on earth he would want to cheat on Stable, man. Like this is
But some guys do that no matter how hot their wives are.
no. I mean, this was the night. You know, the big '90s playboy. You know, and it was every man's wet dream back in the Attitude Era for Sable. You know, and then he ends up marrying her, and I was like, when this all started coming, I'm like, why on earth? You know, I know what you're saying too, but it's still you still got to question it, like, why? You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, why?
I actually worry a little bit for her because, you know, outside of the ring, even he's known for not being a very nice man.
No.
He's known for having a temper, and he's known for, you know.
Yes,
He blatantly has said, "I don't like people." Okay, great.
No, he doesn't. That's
so
why I was surprised to see recently that he was in a bit of a crowd when he went to his daughter's shot put event, and he got pictures taken of him. He was wearing glass. Everyone's just kept going on about that he's wearing glasses. I'm like, is that really what you're taking from this? You're not taking the fact that his daughter looks so much bloody like him, and it was just weird, I guess. Yeah. Like what I took from it was very weird for me to see him as a dad. You just never imagined him as a father. Like,
no,
you know.
But I honestly hope that Sable, you know, she's smart enough not to really delve on this.
Well, look, she won't hesitate. She left. If you remember, she left Mark Merrow because he was abusive.
Yeah.
And she left him for Brock because of his abuse, you know, and so I know this Brock might not have been abusive to her, but she feels like he's been unfaithful, and he could continue to be unfaithful. You know, the question would be there, like,
or that this could push him over the edge. I mean,
all that too.
You
know, because both WWE and UFC are not going to want no part of him at all. So basically,
for all intents and purposes, his career is over.
His career's done. There's like whatever money he's got, he better hold on to and use it wisely, because there's going to be no more big paydays.
Sable's remembering that she's going 50% of that shit is mine.
Yeah, you know, because they would have been banking, because obviously, clearly, from all accounts, the plan was for him and Gunther to go at it at WrestleMania, which would have been a big freaking payday for him.
Right.
And that ain't happening now.
Nope.
You know, and I think Laurinaitis, he's just a snake in the grass, little weaselly freaking thing that he is. I don't doubt for a second, because it came out in the Bellas show when he started dating their mum, and they questioned the whole relationship. Like, Mum, what are you doing? He's cheated on his former partner before. Like, he's a known cheater. And so, and him and Vince were really close, and I think a bit of Vince rubbed off on him. He was also a bit of a womanizer himself, and
oh God, the last thing I'd want rubbing off on me is anything related to Vince.
But, no, exactly. But, you know, like, as I said, Laurinaitis, Pat Patterson, Gerald Briscoe, there was a few of them that were part of, I guess you could say, Vince's dirty old man club, you know. And I just think Laurinaitis is trying to get as less of in trouble, or, you know, charges or whatever's going to happen. And put it all on Vince. Like, he's coming out playing a victim, saying, "Oh, Vince," basically in his own words, "Vince made me do it."
Yeah.
That's where, if I was a judge, I'd turn around and go, "Did Vince have a gun at your head?" Because if he didn't, then nobody made you do nothing. You did.
Or he's in that awkward. Vince had something on him. Okay, what did Vince have on you?
Well, I mean, granted, he could turn around and say, like, Vince held my job over me. He said, if I didn't do this or organize this, then I was fired.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, is that really... You want to put your reputation on the line and your moral compass on the line over a job like that? In reality, it might be a bit bloody good paying job, but I'm quite sure you could have found work elsewhere as an exec. I mean, he was a business executive of a company, so... He didn't. He could have gone and been a business executive elsewhere too. Like, he would have had those types of
Or there's the other thing, and like I said, before it all got really, before he found out about how bad it really was, he did something with Vince's knowledge, or Vince has something on him and said, "Look, if you don't stay with me here and do what I want you to do, I'm gonna let everybody
Maybe
know
maybe
what
that
you did.
yeah. Well, I was going to say maybe
Yeah.
there's text messages,
Yeah.
right? Which
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
would be very big implication, see, because it's in black and
Yeah.
white, you know.
By the way, we're not saying he's at all innocent, people. Don't misconstrue
No,
that at
no,
all.
no. But yeah, I'm glad that you know WWE and UFC and Endeavor have distanced themselves because you know it's not a great look whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I'm also glad. Put it this way: the more people are coming forward, the worse this is going to get for
Yep.
Vince and everybody else that's involved in this because the more voices that speak up on it and you know proof that they can show whatever proof they got, it's just going to implicate everybody even more so.
That's the other thing I would tell people that that got that one law group that's saying, hey, if you fill out this form, and even when you start seeing some of these names pop up, I'd wait till the case is resolved before you go, oh my god, yeah, because a lot of people are going to fill out the form, so when it comes to proving their accusations or whatever, you fall into a slippery slope. You Part of the problem we have today is society is prejudging people based on rumor without knowing fact.
Mm.
Let the lawyers do their job before you make a final decision, type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
If you understand what I'm saying, I don't know if you do. I don't know if I put that correctly.
No, no, came across the right way, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, this is just
a lot of people are going to be coming out to fill out that form looking for a little bit of a payday.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so it's interesting. It's very very interesting stuff. And more
and sad too because it sounds like more like I said, especially us older guys, we're gonna have some stuff come up that we're gonna be like, oh, not him too. Shit, not him too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like we mean you got respect for Triple H, and now if implications come out with him too, I mean you're gonna sit there.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt, man.
And see, this is where I think Rock was brought into it, see, because and like we read or were talking about the other week, Rock's building his own little circle to take over if need to be taken over. Yeah.
Yep. Outside of this, by the way, I want to talk about the whole thing with Rock. I know we're going to be mentioning that, but I've been thinking about that for 2 weeks, and I think I know what's up now. I think I know what they did, and they did it well.
But hey, what's good, Yobi? Peace, love, life, brother.
Hey, Yobi.
So yeah, it's interesting, but I just don't know what the outcome, at least when it pertains to Vince, is going to be. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be.
He can share a cell with his friend from Florida. Oh, that's all I'm going to say to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know if it's going to be like a huge, big damages payout thing, or if it's going to be prison time or what. But
if the accusations are as bad as they are, it could be jail time.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think there's any amount of money that's going to save him from that.
Nope.
I know he keeps professing his innocence, but there's too much from the past. I mean, if it gets that bad and say his wife decides to turn on him too and say, well, look, Vince has had a very big problem with this. He's cheated on me many times. Like that.
By the way, just because they can't force her to testify doesn't mean she can't willingly do so.
No, I mean this could be the final bloody straw for the poor woman. I mean, she stuck by him through, and she knew about his infidelities, right? It's been public knowledge about this, right? But yet she's still stuck by the man. God bless her. This could be the last straw, though. Like, I'm done. I'm we're at the tail end of our lives. I don't want to live.
Yeah.
Get out of my house. Take it high.
And Linda's not without her own power either. Okay, Linda, and she's not necessarily a nice woman. Okay, so she's had to put up with his shit, but she's done her own few things that make you kind of go, yeah, she's not a nice woman. She would burn you really quick.
Oh yeah, I mean she got into politics herself, man. You know what a lot of politicians are like. Yo, what's good, brother Dread? What's good? But no, very interesting stuff. And look, I just hope before we move on to this next topic, I just hope that all these victims, like Ashley Massaro's family, clearly, the young ring boy's family,
Yeah.
because they committed suicide over a lot of this stuff. Um,
If they get
and
some
this,
closure, yeah.
yeah, and Janelle
Yeah.
Grant, like I hope they get some closure. If there's anybody else that's going to come forward, which I'm quite sure there will be, and you've even got current talent, like I just mentioned, that have
Yeah.
got their own stories. So if they decide to start coming forward too, I hope the best outcome for them all. As I said,
Right.
I know there'd probably be payouts of restitution or something like that, which is all well and good, but it doesn't help that mental side. You know what I mean?
Nope.
And doesn't take away from how they've been victimized and what's happened to them. And
Yeah. The
so
only the I think bigger and a lot of times more than the money help that helps is the finally somebody believed me. Finally something's
yeah,
being done. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And now this is all being brought to light, and people are starting to see a side of Vince that there might be a lot, especially out there in the wrestling community, that didn't recognize that just saw Vince as, hey, this is
Right.
the legendary promoter that got WWE, and he bought up all those territories and turned it into
Mhm.
the mega conglomerate that it is today.
Yep.
That's how they might view him still. There's probably a lot of people
Yeah.
out there that just view him like that. Oh, Vince has
Um,
been great. Vince is awesome. Yeah, not so much.
But even then, there's a book out there called about the fall of the territories and stuff, and it
Yeah.
goes into the shady things that Vince did even back
You want to
then.
know one shady thing? I just recently seen an interview with Bret Hart. He bought Stampede Wrestling from Stu Hart. Was meant to pay him, I forget the sum, but it was a few $100,000. Didn't pay a fucking penny.
Wow.
Stole it from him. Didn't pay a fucking penny. Yeah, Bret goes, that's why everybody in his family absolutely
Right.
detests Vince. Yeah, was meant to pay him, had an agreement done, and then didn't pay a cent. I'm like, yeah, I wonder how many other territories he did that with. You know.
Yep.
But moving right along, we're going to start discussing here because I know you wanted to touch on it. The Rock and him joining the Bloodline. Where's WWE going with this? It was interesting. He come out on SmackDown wearing a singlet version of a shirt, Armani type shirt that I remember him wearing back in the Attitude Era, more of a long sleeve shirt. And he's playing that heel Hollywood Rock, Attitude Era Rock mixed in there too. That I think's awesome because I love when the Rock's a heel. Like, he's freaking hilarious. But it's interesting though, to see him playing second fiddle though to Roman, because he joined the Bloodline and he's basically, I guess, almost taken a knee to Roman in a sense.
Eh, At
Yeah.
least at this point, I could see that. I mean, when it's my turn, I'll go into that.
But what do you feel on this, as well as Rock's
Okay, so here's what I think.
position
Here's
of
what I think.
power? Yeah,
Here's what I think. Because if this is what they did, boy, did they think this through. Look, Rock comes in. He says, I'm just going to wrestle Roman for the head of the table. I'm going to wrestle Roman at WrestleMania. This is what everybody wants to see. Everybody goes, oh, boo, boo, bullshit,
yeah, yeah.
And all of a sudden, whether that was the original plan or not, or the fact that making him turn heel was the original plan,
Right.
because now, guess what? Now all eyes are going to be on WrestleMania because of The Rock.
Yes.
I mean, there's no denying that if he wouldn't have done that or what's going on now, nobody would give a shit. Okay.
No,
About
well,
what The
I
Rock
mean,
is doing. Yeah.
yeah. And as we pointed out last week, he kind of interjected himself to help WrestleMania because he knew Punk's not going to be there due to injury. He knew
Right.
Brock wasn't going to be there now because of all this stuff. So he
Right.
was looking at it from a draw card, a star power draw card.
Yep.
And I mean,
But that's what I'm saying. If this whole turn thing was because they knew that would happen, or this turd thing was an adjustment to the negative reaction he got to just going to WrestleMania. Either way, it's working out in their favor.
Mm.
Now, how far ahead they thought at that point is a different story, because I still think that the initial reaction, the initial look on his face when he got booed that first time, he did look like he didn't expect it. I don't know that he expected the negative reaction that he got when he said he was going to take Cody's place.
But it did come out recently that after he started realizing the negative thing, it was his push to move it back to Cody Roman, right?
Right.
And a couple other things I want to touch on. I don't know if you noticed it on SmackDown, but I certainly noticed it. When he was making his speech, and he gets to the point that he says, and someone is going to lose at WrestleMania, he looks directly at Roman when he says that.
Right.
Is that an indication like you're going to lose, little cousin?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You're gonna lose, and then Rock's gonna assume the head of the table position. That's the other part I was gonna get.
Because there is rumors running rampant that Rock's temporarily turned heel, but apparently he could end up turning on Roman and costing him the.
Yep. Which goes to my whole idea, goes back to them saying, look, you are not worthy to sit at the head of the table.
Mm.
You know, they could go back and use that now that Rock is there and go, look, dude, you won your head of the table match by having your friends help you and shit. No, you know, they could go back to that. So I am actually interested in what they're doing again. They put some life back into the Bloodline storyline, which, as we both have said repeatedly, was dead on arrival at this point.
Mm.
But now we don't know what they're gonna do. Now there's interest again.
Well, the thing is, I know we've got an Elimination Chamber match coming up for someone to take on Seth, but like there's been rumors, and obviously we clearly seen the seeds planted at their WrestleMania kickoff of doing a tag match with Roman and Rock versus Cody and Seth. Now, there's been
but is Seth healthy though?
There's been a different. A tag match would protect Seth if you really think about it, because he doesn't have to be in the ring as much. Cody could take on most of the role, right? But there had been talk of doing it two different ways. So but at the same time that Roman, Cody, and Seth would all be pulling double duty in some way, shape, or form. So a couple of ways I've seen it was they do the tag match on night one, but Seth would also be defending his belt on night one as well. And then the next night, you would have Cody and Roman still. But that would still, again, for even Cody and Roman, it would still be double duty because the tag match would be the night before. So technically double duty, just not on the same night. And then,
by the way, for those of you that maybe know, there was one time, I think there was one main event where Hart ended up wrestling 3 times in one event.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so
and then
they've done this kind
the
of
other
stuff.
way I've seen it is they leave it to night 2. Seth defends his belt on night 1, and then on night 2 they do a tag match, but the stakes are high for the tag match because both Seth and Roman's belts would be put on the line in the match.
Wow. I doubt they would do that because
I'm sitting there thinking that could be quite awkward, because what happens if, say, Rock and Cody are in the ring, Cody just pins a Rock, he doesn't even pin well, you can't pin Seth because Seth would be his tag partner, but even just pinning Rock or Roman, okay, even if you pin Roman, you just beat him for his belt, but then you get Seth's belt too, and he's your tag partner. Like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think
if they do that, Roman's gonna win and he's gonna hold both belts, and then they move to WrestleMania and they make it a unification match.
Well, see, this is why I'm wondering, because do they do this? I know it'd be late to put it on the card, but do they do the tag match at Elimination Chamber? You know, or are they going to wait to do the tag match? Like, are they going to do the tag match on night 1, and then Seth and Cody defend their belts night 2. Oh, sorry. Seth and Roman defend their belts on night 2, but they do. So they end night 1 of WrestleMania with the tag match, and then night 2, you have, I don't know whether you have Seth defend his at the start of the show or somewhere in the middle, and then of course, obviously, the last match would be Cody and Roman. But this tag match is. It's clearly there. I don't know if it's going to happen at Mania. I don't know if they can do it as soon as Elimination Chamber. If it doesn't happen at Mania, then do they do it?
Well, we don't have a full card for Elimination Chamber yet, do we?
At the moment, we currently have 4 matches, which are probably maybe one more match added to it, because those Elimination Chambers are quite long. Matches.
Yeah, they do take quite a while. Yeah.
So it might stay at 4. It might add one more match there. And even if you do add one more match, I wouldn't want to be that tag match, because you want to give them time. And, both Elimination Chamber matches could go for an hour apiece, right? So there's 2 hours in itself. And then I know you got Rhea and Nia, and they'd probably give them a good time for that, considering it's in Rhea's home.
They could still add one more match.
And then you got the I think it was the Judgment Day and against what the hell's the new team called? New Catch Republic or something, whatever they fucking name themselves. But it's interesting.
It just crossed my mind again. I asked you in chat in DM, you never answered me. Do you plan on watching Elimination Chamber live?
I hope to. Yeah.
Because if you do, I think we should do a watch-along stream.
Yeah.
Because it's early enough in the morning here, and there's nobody else on the channel, so we could do a watch-along stream.
Yeah, definitely could be something to definitely look into for sure.
Yeah. Because I'll get up at 4:30 to do it. I don't care.
But where do you think, personally, and with The Rock's power, we've seen the exchange where we obviously know that the other man can't wrestle for obvious reasons. Right. Is Triple H going to be involved in this at all? Because of that backstage interaction where Rock and him kind of exchanged words, and then he kind of fucking said something to Roman after Roman said something to him, and Triple H is like, yeah, you're lucky, The
only thing I could see happening is if Triple H comes out and says, nope, we're doing this match and we're doing it tonight.
Yeah. I could see Triple H getting involved in the sense, as long as he's not going to take a bump and that, he could still come in and hit someone with a sledgehammer, for example, and that's about all he does, kind of thing, or distract somebody.
Yeah.
He just can't get anything happen to him because of his pacemaker, I believe he's got. Yeah, he's got a pacemaker.
Yep.
So, if he didn't have that, man, I'd love to see him and Rock go at it again. That'd just be like Attitude Era all over again. But yeah, unfortunately, that's not going to be able to happen. But Triple H, I think.
No, but he can still insert himself in a not advisory, so to say, but this is my show, this is my promotion, and this is what we're doing.
Yeah, I agree, Yobi. Yobi says in the chat that promo Rock did from Friday was not needed. Rock should have addressed what Hunter said, and they didn't, but we will see. No, he didn't. He has not addressed that at all. And, we know Hunter took his shot.
But that's why I'm wondering if they've had to do about based on their original plans. Because of the crowd reaction and Rock, okay, maybe this is not a good idea.
Even so, but you'd still think, considering Triple H called him, he thinks that he's got some kind of power because he's on the board when he doesn't really have it. That Rock really should have answered him back, even from a story point of view, and he didn't even mention it.
Yep.
All he went on is about the Cody crybabies and how, if you attack my bloodline, rah, rah, rah. The funny thing is, too, he goes on about why he slapped Cody because he reckons Cody insulted their grandparents. But Cody didn't insult their grandparents. All he said was, and he was specifically not even including Rock, he just mentioned, your grandfather. And then he said Roman's grandfather. He was talking to Roman and aiming at Roman, saying they would be ashamed of you.
Yep.
There was nothing
funny because you and I have said the same thing.
Nothing insulting in his statement at all
No.
compared to Roman
Nope.
insulting Cody's dad,
No.
where he said
Nope.
Dusty was insignificant or irrelevant.
Right.
And I'm sitting there going, Dusty Rhodes irrelevant? Are you serious? Like, he may not have won the WWF World Heavyweight Champion, but he
No.
was an NWA World Heavyweight Champion multiple.
Not only that, he created a lot of matches that shaped what WWF would become.
War Games, for starters. His creation
Yeah.
was also NXT.
Yeah.
That was Dusty's idea. The only reason Roman Reigns is in the position that he's in now was because of Dusty. He was one of Dusty's students.
Yep.
Same as Seth and a bunch of others that came through NXT early on in the piece.
Yep.
You know, and he's the one who insulted Dusty, not Cody insulting them. He just saying, no, they'd just be ashamed of you compared to what they did back in the day and how they held themselves. You know, Roman's grandfather, Rock's grandfather, Peter Maivia, and the High Chief, and of course, even Roman's dad. I mean,
they just reshowed the thing from Rock this last Friday. You know what I noticed? Rock is taking the place of Paul Heyman. Rock is becoming the mic worker.
He is. Voice. Well, it's funny because he goes, "Yeah, I'm joining the Bloodline." Now, here's a couple of things I want to point out. The Bang Bang gang over in AEW called him out on social media because when they went and raised the one in the air, he didn't raise a one, he raised a gun. If you go back and look when Rock raises he raises the gun, which is the Bullet Club.
I just saw it. Let me see here if I can.
The Bullet Club, right? He puts it in the air, and so they've taken a shot like, you're not a part of the Bang Bang gang.
Yeah.
I was like, that was pretty funny. But apart from that, it's funny because so he's essentially taken a knee towards Roman, and hey, that's the tribal chief. I'm siding with the bloodline. I'm a bloodline, right? But in that whole speech, Roman basically got shoved to the side because the whole attention was on The Rock. Because The Rock is a bigger star.
Yep.
That's what I found funny. I'm like, here's little bitch-ass tribal chief over here. Stand there, can't talk, mouth closed, and The Rock's just completely, utterly took the spotlight from him.
Yeah.
Which The Rock does. I've even seen rumor now. I'll tell you what, if this comes true, it'd actually be funny. Someone goes, Stone Cold needs to interject on Cody's behalf. Come down, whoop The Rock's ass, you know. And Stone Cold's fit as a fool, man. He's like he's been saying, I've been seeing him, man. He looks good. He even said he feels like in the best shape that he's been in a long time. He recently did one of those ice bath challenges. Of course, he's in there swearing. He's like, oh shit, fuck. He's like, whoo, and I'm like, yep, there he is. There's Austin. Man, hey, I'd love him to be brought into this feud because. One, he had a lot of respect. There is ties there to interject him into the story. He had a lot of respect for Dusty Rhodes, Stone Cold, because Dusty was a big believer in him. Dusty was one that told him, leave WCW, forget this stunning Steve bull crap, go over there. You need to invigorate, reimagine yourself. And Dusty was one that pushed him. To go over to WWF, they'll know how to use you. And then, he had a little small stop at ECW where he kind of started the whole Stone Cold moniker. And then once he finally got over to WWF and completely shaved all the blonde hair off, Stone Cold was born. But without Dusty urging him, look, all you're going to be is stuck in the mid-card over here. Like, Hogan didn't even want to wrestle him in WCW. Like, he just had it bad, and he was never, ever going to break out. Like a lot of them didn't break out, really, until they left and went to WWE. Jericho didn't, Guerrero, Benoit, they didn't break out until they went over to the WWF, WWE. And so I could see them somehow working on, especially now that Rock's heel, and... we don't know what the plans are. Like, we don't know if Rock's going to end up, it's just a temporary turn. He's going to end up turning on Roman to finally set up their match. If not,
Like I said, this is what I've always wanted. We don't have
yeah,
any fucking clue what's
no,
going
it's
to happen.
good. Yeah, it's good. And so if the plan is to keep him heel, for example, well then Cody's going to need some help, isn't he? So
Yep.
I've seen rumors and planned rumors of interjecting Austin. Just makes sense because of him and Rock's rivalry. Have him help Cody. I've even seen demand for Tony Khan to allow Dustin to get involved. And he's not using Dustin. He's not using Dustin. So why not? Look, I know he's under contract. Why not? TNA allowed their women's champion to come in for a Royal Rumble match. You're going to literally let him come in just to help him in this feud, to help his brother, realize his story and complete the story. Dustin would be another perfect one because he's Dusty's kid also. That's his baby brother. They haven't really got plans for him over there. He hasn't been used in a minute. I don't know if Tony would allow it or not, but look, if Tony's got a heart of any sort, let him. I mean, you're not using him, so why would you not allow him to do it?
Right.
If anything, you kind of might get in the good graces of Cody again. Maybe Cody eventually later on somewhere comes back to you for a little run before he fully hangs. But yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see I'd like to see Dustin and Stone Cold get involved. At least then Cody's got two backup. Because at the moment, he's got to deal with not 4 guys, but 5 realistically. So he's got to deal with The Rock, Roman, Solo, and Jimmy. But then he's also got to deal with, Paul being a distraction himself, not physically wise, but just being a distraction. Right. So at the moment, it's a 5-on-1. So he needs some help. I know that's where they've got Seth there, and Seth said if Cody needs it, he'll be there too. But I'd be looking.
By the way, that's another way that Triple H can interject himself in the matches coming up.
Yeah.
Hey, no interference. None.
No.
Anybody comes out, you're done.
Well, see, I think it could be safe to say if they have a match, and say if their match is definitely say on the day that Cody Roman's meant to do it against Cody. If the two brothers have their match on that particular day of WrestleMania, then I think that might take Jimmy out of the equation. Because I still have a feeling Jay's going to beat and whoop his ass. And it could be a very physical match, and so they'll do it from a storyline. He's not going to come out, he's banged up, But that still leaves Solo, and it still leaves The Rock, right? So Cody needs some help there. And see, this is where I think Triple H, but then Triple H, you look from a storyline, then, Rock's above him, and technically in the pecking order, so he can come out and go, well, I overrule you. I don't give a crap what you're going to say. I'm in with Ari. Yeah. Who's the head of the whole shaboozle. We don't care what you're going to say, And so that's where I think Triple H goes, right, well, I'll bring my sledgehammer down. Knock in there. And then all of a sudden you hear the glass shatter. I'm telling you, if Stone Cold gets involved, and as soon as that music hits, oh my God, the roof's going to get blown up the building. Well, even though they're not going to really have a roof there at Lincoln Field, but you get what I'm saying, that they will go nuts. They will go nuts. And look, they were trying to get Austin for a match at last year's WrestleMania because they know he's in shape. But this wouldn't be a match. This would just be him coming down whooping some ass. Right. I think, look, because you just don't know if you're going to be able to get Dustin involved. So I think Stone Cold needs to be involved just purely based on 2 reasons. The history with The Rock and his respect for fucking Dusty Rhodes. So there is story to play in there of why Austin's coming out to help Dusty's baby boy, Plus, Austin is that type. I'm come down to even the odds. Why not? Stone Cold's a one-man wrecking crew himself. He doesn't even have to be the biggest person in the ring, but he's a one-man wrecking crew. You can just Stone Cold stunner everybody. So I'd love to see that happen. I really hope. And because we already know he's under a Legends contract, it'd be a lot easier to contractually get him involved than probably Dustin right now. So, but at the same time, I'd love to hear that Goldust music played and him running down, man. Like that would be freaking either that or you start hearing Dusty's old music come and Dustin just comes out as Dustin and starts beating some ass, And he recently came out and said his retirement plans, by the way, have completely changed because he feels great. He thought by now his body would be screaming at him like, nah, it's time. And he did have plans to actually retire in the next year or two, but now apparently the plans have changed because he feels great. That man, I'm telling you, he's an absolute machine. And he's like... I've been waiting for Father Time to come and catch him, and it still has eluded him. So
yeah, all the Rhodes wrestlers have been like that, though. I mean, really. Well, time will tell with Cody, but I mean, Dusty stayed in shape for a long time.
Yobi, man, he's gonna finish without one, and I'm telling you now, he needed to be a world champion, right? After that feud with Piper back in the day. That feud with Piper completely had eyes on Goldust and elevated him to the level above mid. He was main eventer, bro. And they didn't go anywhere with it. Like that is what should have happened back then. He should have been a multiple time world champion back in those days. This was in the before the Attitude Era, man. He should have had a couple of runs. What did you say earlier? Hang on a minute. Let's go up here. Oh, you thought he thought he posted it. Hang on, hold on. He says, but no, he should have been, man. He's going to be one of these guys that finishes his career really undervalued, man, and underappreciated. As I said, Dustin is another one like Owen Hart for me. They should have been main eventers. They should have been multiple time world champions. And Goldust at the time too, like we know how he was used as a joke character later on, but that time with Piper, he was a very unusual character. He always had been, but very serious, and violent and damaging with the whole Piper storyline. So I said Austin's last retirement match was with The Rock. Here's the perfect one to counter Rock. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it'd be awesome, but man, it's good because all we can do at the moment is speculate because we have no idea at how this is going to unfold. And as I said, they've even you got the added thing of, are we going to get a tag match at some point? Is it going to happen on one of the days of WrestleMania between Seth and Cody and Rock and Roman? Like, there's a lot of elements, you know, that are at play here. And like you said, Paul, that's probably the best thing about all of this right now is the guessing game and the you know, not
we have
knowing.
no idea. We have no idea.
And I hope they keep it that way. I love the whole no idea, you know, because too often they're not. In wrestling today, everything's usually spoiled weeks ahead. And if they, you know, they're probably going to have other matches on the card spoiled or which direction they're going to go, you know, like maybe we figure out Rhea's dropping the title WrestleMania kind of thing, you know. But if they can keep all this big match with all these elements involved and have the fans speculating right up until the night, man, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. And I always say it's the element of surprise.
I will be thoroughly impressed if they manage to keep WrestleMania results a secret this year.
Oh yeah, as I said, if I was them, I'd just focus on the whole finishing the story. Roman, I'd be focusing on keeping that as close to the chest. Don't let anybody know unless you have to know, and that's it. So it doesn't get out.
And they've done that kind of stuff before too, where none of the other wrestlers haven't had a clue what was going to happen.
No,
and sometimes that's what you got to do.
Yeah, no doubt about it, bro. No doubt about it. And so that's why I'm hoping it's going to be the case. And it is going to be very, very intriguing. As the weeks, it's what, April, the start of April that it's happening. So we've still got, we still got what, a week and a bit left of February. We've got the whole of March.
Right.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen. But that would be leaks are always going to happen. They always do with WWE. But I would be
plus somewhere before that, it's an NXT pay-per-view, which could also have an effect on it as well.
Oh, that's actually, I think that might, if it's not after Elimination Chamber, it could be like on the weekend of WrestleMania. They usually have that takeover.
They're going to have them both?
Yes, they did last year.
Oh, that's right. They did last year. That's right.
Yeah. So,
we were chock full of wrestling last year.
Bro, yeah, what do we have, like 10 hours? Yeah, more than 10 hours of fucking wrestling, bro. Because you had your 3 hours of the NXT, and then I think, both nights of WrestleMania were, 4 hours, 4.5 hours apiece. Like, man, that's why I love WrestleMania, especially now with NXT's pay-per-view, because you get the whole weekend of just wrestling. And in between that, usually Impact has their pay-per-view.
I was going to say, then AEW has
their something going on. Oh man, it's just like it's a wrestling fan's wet dream, bro. It really is. It's going to be a heck of a weekend. But that would be my focus. Leaks are probably going to happen on other matches, but you need to keep that big match because of all the intricacies, and you just need to keep it all hush. It needs to stay between Triple H, Cody, Roman, Seth, and Rock for the moment. And then if Stone Cold and Dustin's going to get involved, well, obviously you'd include them too in the plans. But those 5 to 7 guys is all. Forgot Paul Heyman had been acknowledged too. That's all that needs to know. The referee don't need to know shit. Yeah. None of the other wrestlers need to know shit. Nothing. You don't tell nobody else. You don't even tell the people in catering. Nothing.
Actually, I wouldn't even tell the outside of the. I wouldn't even tell the other part of Bloodline. I would leave it to.
No, I wouldn't even tell. I wouldn't tell Solo. Wouldn't tell Jimmy. Wouldn't tell that.
No.
Only the parts that we see involved, which, as I said, is Heyman, Roman, Rock, and Cody, Seth, and Triple H. That's what we know.
And if Solo or Jimmy are supposed to be involved, they don't find out till the night of.
No. And at the moment, I would say Solo probably will, because right now there does not look like a logical match that's going to happen for him at WrestleMania. No. We know his brother is going to his two brothers are going to verse each other, but he's got nothing. So
unless he's going to interject himself on that match as well.
That'd be interesting. That would be.
By the way, because you'll notice.
You know what? I'd love him to. And as he's like starting to come down the ring, then all of a sudden you hear Rikishi's music because he's their dad, right? And he comes down and just you ain't getting involved. You let these two boys fight it out. You're not getting involved, right? I think with that storyline, because it's your two brothers, and if say Solo's getting, so then you got the three brothers, you have to include Rikishi in that part, at least that part, because it's his sons. It just makes sense. Like
we would have thought Rikishi was going to get involved last year. And
he was supposed to.
Like he was supposed to. Yeah.
And then I don't know what ended up happening. He was meant to get involved in the whole bloodline because him and Roman were taking shots on Twitter at each other. Yeah. And I have no idea of what changed plans there. But look, in the whole brother versus brother thing, I think their dad needs to get involved in that. Keep Solo out of it. Like, no, this is your two older brothers. They're grown men. Let them fight. Don't you get involved, or I'm going to smack you out. I'll chuck you in the corner and throw my ass in your face like Rikishi.
Well, the other side I would show is, if you noticed, every time Jimmy goes to get a high five or whatever from his brother just totally fucking ignores him, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's got no personality whatsoever, Solo. Mr. Serious. It'd be nice to see him crack a freaking smile, but then even then it might be.
And he has this weird thing about staring at his thumb. I'm like, what are you thinking? You're gonna oil check somebody else? What the hell, dude?
I don't want to know where he sticks that thumb, bro.
that That is the weirdest finisher I think I've seen
No,
in a
I
long
mean
time.
we all know where John Cena thinks he was going to put the thumb, but
Yeah.
he's going to shove it up his ass. But you know, yeah, man, like I'm loving this whole, as I said, speculation, and secrecy about what's going to happen, and yeah, things are going to just continue to get interesting, and all the element. I think all the elements we'll sort of know at least all the elements that'll be in play for it at least, but not knowing which way the outcome's going to be. Like, you know,
Right.
as I said, is Cody going to? Are they going to have Cody finish his story, or are they going to continue and have Roman keep going until he beats Hogan? We don't know. We don't know what their plans are. I'd like to think, because they've painted themselves into a hole again, that you're going to allow Cody to finish the story because people are completely... You don't need him to beat Hogan's... Look, he's had a good run as it is anyway, especially in the modern era of wrestling. Yeah. Nobody's had this kind of bloody run. And irregardless, like me and you say, yeah, for this latter half, he's sat home to rack up the days. Yeah, people are over it. You know, he'd have to go through... not only SummerSlam, but whatever the pay-per-view is in September, he has to go through that. He can't drop it till October if he's going to beat Hogan's record, because he beats Hogan's record sometime in September, if that's what they were going to do, which we know had been the plan. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you could have... If you have Cody lose again, right... We already know people are bored of Roman and the whole bloodline storyline, right?
And the only reason there's any energy in it now is because of The Rock, not because of anything else.
The other thing is if you have Cody lose again, people are going to completely lose interest in the whole finish in the story. That then people are going to get tired of that. Yeah. This is your chance to finish it and end it. People have waited 2 years for this now. You can't have them waiting more time. It either has to be done at WrestleMania or you're not going to do it at all.
One of the columnists pointed out that they have to be careful not to damage Cody, because what happened when The Rock came out was announced the first time, people started booing Cody, so they have to not let that happen.
No, they did, because they just seen Cody like, really, you're going to bitch out? You won Royal Rumble for your chance. You're going to bitch out and just let Rock slide on in? Like, and so I didn't blame the boos there. But then that changed.
But they have to be careful. But they have to be careful. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They do. Look, at the end of the day, they can't. As I said, they can't have him lose again, because one, people will lose interest in his story, for starters, and two, he completely loses all momentum if he loses again. It's just like, you have him lose to Roman again, then you can't have him beat Roman later on, because everybody be like, so Roman smashes him twice, and then all of a sudden, now you're going to give him a victory? Like, no. You know, that's why...
But see, to be fair, Roman hasn't smashed him twice. Roman has been helped twice. You know,
but this time around, the reason why it makes it even better for Cody to win is there's more adversity this time around than there even was last year at WrestleMania for him. He has to deal with The Rock and this and that and all these other elements right now. Him coming out on top, this year's WrestleMania makes it even a bigger, significant thing, especially because he had to wait. And then, obviously, the significance of he'd be the first Rhodes to hold a WWF World Championship.
I was going to mention that, too. Even if Tony doesn't agree to let his brother wrestle, at least let him make an appearance.
Yeah. He doesn't have to wrestle. He just make an appearance, come down and knock some heads, you know?
And stand out there and look mean, you know?
Yeah. But moving right along to our second last topic of the evening. This one was an interesting one. It happened during the week last week. And I thought this was the most stupidest decision after you have just got in the good graces of wrestling fans again, went through a complete rebrand to your original name, which was needed, and up the production cost a bit. More details have come out over Anthem terminating Scott D'Amore, who was the man who single-handedly kept TNA afloat and then revived it and got it back to where it is. And I thought, you know why he got fired? Because he asked
No.
for more money for production and stuff. That's
Oh.
why. He'd been screaming at them for fucking 2-3 years. You keep saying to us, we want to get you back to where you were, and we want to see TNA rise. And he like, well, we need more funding to make that happen. You're giving us bloody funding that's less than even some indie promotions. And they didn't want to part with more money. But yet they're still on the path of, we want TNA to be bigger. I'm like, well, how do you do that unless you can invest more money? And this is Anthem. This
spend
is
money to make money. You got to spend money to make money.
yeah, exactly. And they're a big company. I think they're worth many, 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 many billions. So they got the money there. They just don't want to spend it. But with a week now having passed since TNA suddenly fired President Scott D'Amore, pieces continue to come together as to why D'Amore was let go. Perhaps the biggest revelation has been that while the news came as a shock to many outside of TNA, it was less of a shock from within, with TNA parent company Anthem reportedly deciding to fire D'Amore well before actually announced.
Wow.
On the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer confirmed that was the case with Anthem deciding to let go of D'Amore, and that D'Amore was aware his days were numbered. It was also confirmed that D'Amore's impending departure is what led to him attempting to purchase TNA, which Anthem quickly rebuffed. Yeah, he tried to purchase TNA from them because he was like, I'm not going to let you just run this company like how you on this such a low budget. Like, TNA means the world to him.
Right.
He coached a lot of the wrestlers that came up in TNA. Yeah, the whole branding presentation and that was because of Scott, and now he's out and it's been put on. Yeah, which is exactly Evan Stube. Hey, what's good, Rock? What's good, Rock? You know, and Anthem quickly rebuffed. So as it turns out, D'Amore wasn't the only TNA executive to lose power last month, as Anthem also removed Ed Nordholm from power, though he's maintained his COO position with Anthem. Nordholm's departure is said to be related to him looking to increase TNA's budget that Scott D'Amore had been screaming out for, with Nordholm being noted as the man who greenlit major contract offers to then free agents Will Ospreay and CM Punk. Anthem squashed it before they could make the offers. Again, an idiotic decision. Here you are telling Scott and this Ed Nordholm that you want to go bigger and better, and they're going to go out and try and hire Will Ospreay and CM Punk, and you squash it. You got the money to pay these guys, which could be two talents you could bring in to start going bigger, to get eyes on the product, and you squash it. So it's counterintuitive of what they were asking. How do you expect them to go bigger and better if you're not going to give them the funds to do it? It just doesn't make sense.
You know, it almost sounds like it almost looks like they're doing what Zaslav is doing to Warner Brothers. Make them lose money so they take a tax write-off as a loss.
Yeah. And I mean, speculation has been running rampant that D'Amore himself was let go in part to wanting to increase TNA's budget. D'Amore's firing has remained polarizing within the TNA locker room, with many, many talents expressing loyalty to the long-time TNA executive, as again, he was their trainer and an ear for them as well, backstage.
Right.
Promotion hasn't run any TV tapings since D'Amore was let go. As they wrapped up a month's worth of tapings in January, they haven't bothered to do anything else. Promotion is set to hold its first show under the new leadership of President Anthony Ciccone, which is just a suit basically sent from Anthem on February 23 when they run No Surrender out of Louisiana. Man, when I seen this, I was devastated. Yeah, he did. He did, Yobi. He wanted to buy him. And they just wouldn't sell. I have no freaking idea of why Anthem wants to hold on to this company. They say we're all for wrestling and we want this to be bigger and better, but they're not willing to invest. They hadn't been willing to invest for years. That Scott had been screaming at them to give them bigger budget. And then they go release the only guy that was basically the lifeblood of TNA. He had been there since the inception with the Jarretts. as I said, he coached a lot of guys. He helped coach AJ Styles, Frankie Kazarian, the Machine Guns, just to name a few, and many other talents. And everybody loved him. The man was a great writer as well, you know, and he had hired other writing talent to help as well. But he kept this thing going and brought it new life to it, and he was the one who helped push for the rebranding from Impact back to TNA. And the minute they do this, and as I said, they slightly, in the smallest of slightness, up the production cost just that little bit. It's still not enough. They're not going to go anywhere. And I'm telling you now, with the respect that man held, the minute any of these talents their contracts are up, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go. And if they start losing talent by the bucket load from, like you mentioned, Yobi, Alexander, right? Who's basically the today's version of Kurt Angle. A bunch of their female, like one of the females is Scott's partner. I'm trying to think, Giselle Shaw, right? They're gonna lose talent, man. Gail Kim, the minute she can get out of there, she's probably gonna be out of there. You know, I know she doesn't wrestle anymore, but she was one of the higher ups there. Moose already turned around and said, and he's their world champion right now, if there ain't no Scott D'Amore, then TNA haven't got Moose. Obviously, he's got to stick to when his contract runs out, and runs out sometime this year. But they're going to lose talent. And there's plenty of places for their talent to go. From they could go to Tony and work for AEW if they want to go there. They could go to Japan. They can go to Mexico. They could go over to WWE if WWE wants them and shows any interest. But just when we all thought that TNA was on the uprise and uptick and going in the right direction, Anthem goes and does this. And it just completely shatters everything. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. The only thing that makes sense to me is they want to take it as a loss, a tax write-off.
Like, it's got to be.
Corporate tax
It's
write-off,
got to be, you know, because why would you get rid of the one person that had TNA's best interest at heart, that gave a shit about that company and wanted to see that company rise from the ashes and become what it once was? And you go,
and like you said, a lot of the talent's probably going to leave. Now, if I was him now, I would start another promotion once some of these guys become free.
Well, you know what I said?
Them over.
Tony needs writers. He's an idiot if he doesn't sign Scott D'Amore now.
Yep.
Should have signed him yesterday. Right?
And give him some free reign. Don't let give him.
Tony can go deal with other things, but leave Scott as the head of writing. Leave Scott D'Amore as the head. If you want to improve your product when it comes to storyline wise, hire Scott D'Amore now.
Yep.
Because I'll tell you what, if they don't, then I hope WWE hires him. Because he is too talented, of not just as a writer, but as an exec. He can even help people at the Performance Center. He is too talented of a guy in about 3 different areas that he could be helpful with to a company to be out there without a job. And if Tony's too stupid to get out of his own way to hire him to fix a big hole that AEW needs fixing, then I hope WWE goes, you know what, Scott D'Amore is a very valuable asset. Let's go out and hire him. You know, because as I said, he could be a coach at the Performance Center. He can be a guy for you backstage. He could be in the writing room. You could have him doing all 3. And he'd juggle it because he was juggling it in TNA.
Yep.
I really feel for him, man, because, man, that's why I tuned into TNA. Because, as I said, they might not have had the rosters that AEW and WWE have got. But, my God, the one thing that they outdid AEW all this time because of him was story-wise. TNA had way better interesting stories that kept you interested in what was going on in that company. Yeah, AEW had the better talent you could throw the better match cards together, And I'm not saying that there's no talent in TNA, because there is talent in TNA, but AEW clearly has a better roster from a roster perspective. You imagine what Scott D'Amore could do with AEW's roster.
Well, as long as Tony stayed out of the way.
Yeah, give him complete free reign. This is what Tony needs to learn. I've said it the whole time. He needs to learn to let go and delegate.
Right.
I
said, if he's got his dream matches, that's cool. But what you do is you tell your writers, okay, here we are today. I want to see this dream match. Can you get me there in 6 weeks or whatever?
You hire Scott to be the head writer, and you say you build your own team and you take care of all that, because then that completely takes all that off of Tony, which he needs to let go of, because he couldn't write a freaking decent story in his sleep. And Tony can go deal with all the corporate stuff and in the media stuff. He can do all that. And you can still be in guerrilla position, overseeing how everything's done. But leave the writing to Scott D'Amore and whoever the hell he chooses to be a part of that writing team. And you will see such a significant change, and a change that's needed. That's where AEW needs direction. You got the perfect opportunity now to hire someone who's currently free agent before anybody else hires him. I'm telling you, Tony.
And I'll tell you what, there's some decent talent to be screaming to get over there once Scott's over there.
It'd be a massive, massive get and a massive asset to AEW. As I said, and it fills a hole that they desperately need. So Tony's an idiot if he doesn't hire the man. He really is. Because if he doesn't, as said, WWE may see the value in him and go, we're going to snap him up. I don't think he's going to be a free agent and out there too long, put it that way. He's very good with the talent. It doesn't matter what talent. He's very, very good, you know. He's very much a people person. And kind of in those positions that he filled over there and being the top executive, that you need to be a people person. And as I said, he was a coach to them. He was an ear for them. You know, they could come and talk to him about anything. So he had very good talent relations, which is fantastic for behind the scenes as well. As I said, all those wrestlers, females and males in that company, held him in such high regard. That's why they are all so pissed off about this decision. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. You know, and I'll just find it messed up that he goes to all the trouble of getting TNA back and rebrand and going through all the process and building it to where it was about to shoot like a rocket ship to the moon. And then they go, thanks, you're out the door now. We'll take it from here. Yeah. It's like, really? Like, that's the thanks that the man gets. Holding down the fort and building this brand back up. Keeping it alive, you know, and I just can't get over it. I'm like, you're going to fire the man for asking for more money when you're sitting there telling him we want to go bigger and better, but he can't do that on the budget you have him. I was like, I don't know how the hell they think that they're still going to go bigger and better if they ain't going to up the budget. It's like you said, you have to spend money to make money. They need to spend money to make that company get bigger and go bolder and bigger, you know, and if they're not going to be willing to do it, that company, I don't know how much life it's got left in it. And as I said, the minute talent starts walking out that door because they're unhappy with, you know, because they all felt inspired with this new direction where TNA was going to go. And I think that's been completely squashed with them now. So the morale has probably gone down to as low as it's probably been in a long time. And that talent leaves, you're not going to have a company to run because there's not going to be anybody to wrestle for you. So it's really sad, man, because I was excited for all the talent there. I was excited for Scott. I was excited for TNA. I had predictions that it was going to overshoot and go past AEW by the end of the year. And now, after this, no, it's not. Not. Just like Tony can't get out of his own way, Anthem can't get out of their own way and want to be stingy bastards and not spend on a product. They say they care about, but you can't spend the billions and billions of dollars that you've got. You're a huge company. And
Right.
that's why that's the only thing I find really funny about this whole situation is that they just kind of contradict themselves. Oh, we want to go bigger, but we're not going to be willing to spend the money to go bigger.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I don't know how you think you're going to do it then on a budget of breadcrumbs and chips. You know, it's ridiculous. But it is what it is. I wish Scott all the best. And for the talent wise, if they're not happy with where the company's going when their contracts are coming towards an end, well, you know what to do. They know what to do. Get the F out of there.
Apparently, the owners are perfectly happy doing shows in gymnasiums. I don't know.
I know, man. And as I said, you want to go bigger and better, but yeah, okay. You can't do that wrestling in gymnasiums where you can only get a couple of hundred people with that. But on to our last topic of the evening, where we're going to preview this weekend's coming Elimination Chamber pay-per-view emanating from Perth, Australia. It's shaping up to be a really, really good pay-per-view. So far, we've got a match card of 4. Maybe one more match gets added to it. Although I could easily see this being the final card because both the women's and men's elimination chambers, as I said, could take up a very, very good chunk and portion of the show outside of, obviously, the women's match because Rhea Ripley will get a decent 20 minutes, I would imagine, for her match, But let's get into some preview and predictions. So the first match that'll probably start the pay-per-view off will be the Judgment Day defending their undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships against the newly formed team called New Catch Republic, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Well, I'm predicting the Judgment Day hold on to their titles here. What about you?
I think so too. Yeah. Though, I've said it before. I think at some point we're still gonna start seeing them drop some of those belts, and Mr. Money in the Bank still has that stupid briefcase. So we gotta do something about that soon.
I know. Quickly, while you bring that up, I just hope and pray that they have him cash in on Seth and whoever wins the men's Rumble match because I'm telling you now, if they have him cash, if say Cody wins against Roman and then they have Damien come down and cash in on him and beat him, oh my God, there's going to be a riot. I think fans would be able to deal with him cashing in on the other world championship, but keep him as far away from Cody's story and Roman's belt as possible. Because I'm telling you now, the fans already blew up about The Rock being nearly taking Cody's spot, and that you don't want that type of heat again. I'm telling you now. So if they're gonna have him cash in, you cash in on Seth or whoever the hell Seth's fighting if they win.
Yep.
But no, I don't see this new team. They've only just been recent. I mean, they've teamed together before back in NXT UK. They are close friends, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. And thank you, WWE, for allowing Pete Dunne to go back to Pete Dunne because I was getting sick of him being called Butch. I'm like, really? How is he going to make it out of the mid card being called Butch?
What's wrong with Butch? Butch is a family nickname in my family. I didn't get it. But my sister
his
did.
proper nickname's better. The Bruiserweight, He's got that real aggressive style. I think it'll be a great match. Don't get me wrong. Especially the stuff that Tyler Bate can do in a ring. But I don't think this is a team to beat Judgment Day. I have a feeling it'll be another team. Maybe the team of Gargano and Ciampa, maybe, I'm thinking. Because they've been on the rise. But yeah, I think it'll be a good little match. Then you got the Elimination Chamber Women's World Championship match for WrestleMania. So far, there's one more name to be named because they're going to have a Battle Royal this week. Was it on Raw or was it on SmackDown?
It was on Raw. It was right as it was on as we were getting started.
Okay, so you got Becky Lynch against the Battle Royal winner, We won't say in case we won't mention who in case people haven't watched Raw yet. So Becky Lynch against the Battle Royal winner against Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Tiffany Stratton, and Naomi. This should be a really, really interesting match. I believe I already know who's going to win it, just because of the teasers we've seen. I'm wondering if you're leaning the same way, but I think it will be Becky Lynch.
Yeah, the way it's been going about. Yeah, they're really pushing her. So.
Yeah. And I mean, the way that the last few months that her and Rhea have had her interactions.
Yep.
I believe that's the way. That's the avenue they're going to go. I'll be. It'd be, as I said, I'll be shocked if it's one of the other girls. You know, I really would, but I really believe it's going to end up being Becky. But I expect this to be probably one of the more brutal matches we've seen from the women in a bit. I think they'll let them go in that chamber as well. And you got some interesting styles in there. Like Tiffany Stratton likes to fly around. Oh, man, I'll tell you what, if she climbs one of the pods and does her moonsault from one of the pods, that would be freaking awesome to see, man. She does.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see that, though. There's a lot of times somebody, a high flyer, will jump on one of the pods and do something just like you go, wow.
And she does a beautiful moonsault, you know, which is her finisher. She really does. She gets a lot of torque on it, and no, she makes it look effortlessly. And then, of course, as I said, then you got the styles of Becky, who's in there and pretty much will just beat the crap out of everybody, and Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan, again, they've got different sort of styles. Naomi's got that more fast-paced style that we know. So it's intriguing, but I think I'm pretty confident Becky will come out. You know, that's the way they look like they're setting up for WrestleMania. Which leads to, of course, the singles match for the Women's World Championship. Rhea defending against Nia Jax. I don't think they're going to have Rhea lose in a home country. Besides that, again, I revert to they're obviously clearly building to Becky and Rhea at WrestleMania for the title. But I do think that for most of this match, you will see Nia throw her around like a rag doll, like we've kind of seen her manhandler leading into this match.
Yeah.
Because you still got to make, regardless that Rhea wins, you'll still have to make Nia Jax look strong. And she's been... I mean, like the commentators said, we haven't seen Rhea manhandled like this before. And you got Nia just completely squashing the air out of the poor woman by going onto the top, well, nearly the top rope and jumping down on top of her chest. So I expect Nia to actually, like, we see a different side of Rhea in this, in the sense of how she has to go about defeating Nia. You know, this is the first time that really... Rhea's used to being the one that overpowers everyone in her matches, and now she has to deal with someone that's quite a bit stronger than her in reality. You know, who's a big girl, and it's going to be really, really intriguing. But I think it will be a good match, and I think they will get decent time. I think they'll at least get 20 minutes to that match. Just because they've made a big deal out of this. I mean, Marmy's been on all the posters for this, considering it's in Australia. You know, she's the biggest.
Well, just based on that, they may actually make it more than 20 minutes, because 20 minutes for a match nowadays is, you know.
Yeah, maybe they give them half an hour.
Yeah.
You know, and both women are capable of that. And as I said, it'll be real hard for contest, you know. But what Yobi's saying in the chat, they wanted to bring Tiffany up a year or two back, but she told them not yet. Yes, yeah, I remember that. She didn't feel like she was ready. She told them, I'm not ready, and I respect the hell. Yeah. And it's done her wonders, bro. Like, she's got all the talent in the world, man. She's going to be one of the big-time players now heading into the future. She oozes talent. She's awesome on the microphone, too. She's got charisma galore. She's got the it factor, man. She's got the it factor. So, and as I said, I respect the hell out of her for doing that. Like you mentioned, Yobi, they wanted to bring her up, and she's like, nope, I'm not ready. I've still got work I've got to put in, and again, it's paid off, man. She's better than what she was 2 years ago, well and truly. And you can see that. It's evident. So she fits seamlessly on the main roster now. So it was a good time to bring her up, I think, too. And she wanted to do a few things in NXT. I mean, at that point too, she hadn't even won the NXT Women's Championship. So that's another reason I was glad. She got her run down there as a NXT Women's Champion. So she's had title gold now. And I'm quite sure we're going to see her become a multiple-time Women's Champion over time as well, because still relatively quite young. So she's got a lot of time left. But no, I see Rhea coming out on top, and she'll put on a show for her hometown fans and that. So it'll be good. And then of course the big match, the men's Elimination Chamber match for a chance to take on Seth at WrestleMania 40, and that is set in stone right now. We've got Drew Mack against Randy Orton, and Bobby Lashley against LA Knight, Kevin Owens, and of course Logan Paul. One name I'll tell you straight off. Two names I'll say straight off the bat won't be winning that match is Logan Paul and Kevin Owens. They're just going to focus on each other and take each other out. They will.
Yep.
Right. I also don't see Bobby Lashley winning this. It's going to come down to LA Knight, Randy, and Drew. Now,
I think it's going to be LA Knight personally, but
I know who I'd like to see.
I don't see it being Drew because his contract's up, and we still don't know.
No, well, here's the thing. I read recently he's actually re-signed a contract.
Oh, wow.
In the last few days, I read that he actually signed it just before or just after the Royal Rumble.
Wow.
And it's not about who I would like to see. I'd like to see LA Knight or Randy Orton win. But I believe Drew McIntyre's going to win this because they've really been pushing him as the big bad heel, and he's been right in Seth's face. So I believe it's going to be him. Why? Another reason it makes sense too is I have a feeling, and this is not even taken into account again with Mr. Money in the Banks. All right, he will defeat Seth, and Seth goes on hiatus to heal up, right? And then you've got him as champion on a returning CM Punk. That feud's already set in stone. That's going to be one of Punk's first feuds when he comes back. Because Drew wished that injury upon him, and there is actually a lot of heat there between the two of them and history. So I think Drew wins this and then goes on to WrestleMania to become the new world champion. And then we'll feud with Punk when he returns. So I'm like with you. I would love to see LA Knight or Randy Orton win. You said you'd love to see LA Knight win, but I think it's going to be Drew Mack.
You just mentioning they I could see Drew Mack too if you're thinking about it. They want a heel to hold that belt for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's the complete opposite with Roman because he is the heel, so they want a babyface to hold that belt.
Right.
Whereas Seth's been one of the biggest baby faces going and inaugural winner of that title, and now they want a heel to have it. So, I mean,
and they may, and if they unify the belts though at some point, it may be a very short reign, but that's okay too.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, mind you, I would have got in the elimination, but I personally, if you were going to pick a big bad heel to be the one to dethrone Seth, I still would have gone with a plan that was talked about and gone with Gunther being the one to take him on and defeat him. I would have liked to see Gunther have a reign as world champion. And he's ready. He's definitely ready for that main event scene. And I don't know. It's just something more with Gunther and his aura that I find.
Okay, so I'm reading a article from a couple of days ago that they've extended his his contract due to injury time, so he'll now be under contract, extend past WrestleMania. So.
Yes. Yeah.
So that makes sense. So they're not under a complete full new agreement, but they've extended it to make up for the injury time.
Right. So Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So even then, like, depending on how long past WrestleMania it's extended, even if he wins, it
Well, he
might
was
only
out
be a short.
injured for what, 8 months?
Who, Drew?
Yeah, Drew. He
Yeah,
was out.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
out for a
So
while.
theoretically, they could have extended it 6 to 8 months. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if he wins and he goes on to verse Seth, how long he'll actually have a run with the title. I don't think it's going
yep.
to be long, regardless. Maybe a couple months, you know, because it's all going to come down to a few factors of which direct, do they want to have set him up with Cody to have a unification match, or are they going to have a returning CM Punk come in and he'll be the one to beat Drew when he comes back?
Right.
So there's a feud already set there for that. But again, this completely leaves the big question mark on Damien and cashing in. Who does he cash in on? When does he cash in? We know he's got to cash in before the next Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which...
I've got to say, is this the longest hanging on to that stupid briefcase ever?
It's one of
seriously.
it definitely is one of them, that's for sure. Like, I still am of the belief that whoever he tries to cash in on, I have a belief that he's going to lose. He's not actually going to win.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, really, he hasn't even tried in the last month or so, ever since the
No.
last time they tried. So,
And
yeah.
I see him as a mid-card, upper mid-card guy, but I don't see him as a main eventer. I just don't. I really don't. And that doesn't take anything away from his wrestling ability or even his character. Like, he's cool, but I just don't see him as a permanent main event fixture.
I could see him move up to upper mid if they let him
That's
go
what I'm saying.
solo,
Yeah,
or get him away from the big group. Get him.
I
let him
see
flesh out his
Damien in the
personality.
same light that I see Miz. They're that upper mid carder that on the odd and like sort of like Shinsuke, right? They're that upper mid carder, which is still pretty good upper echelon, that you throw in the main event scene here and there, but you never give him the title. Although in Miz's case, he did have two times that he got the title, but I think that was more of a thank you for being loyal thing all these years.
Yeah.
Sort of like what they did with Mark Henry.
Right.
I just don't see Damien like. He doesn't seem like a believable world champion to me. He doesn't seem like a permanent fixture in the main events. Not like you can look at Gunter and go, yeah, that guy's got main eventer written all over him. And he's going to be in the main event scene for a very, very, very long time. You look at Roman, you look at Seth, you look at Cody, they got main eventer written on them.
Yep.
Randy Orton, main eventer. Drew McIntyre, he walks that borderline of main eventer, upper mid card.
Jay's got it in his name. No,
yeah. Jay, I even view as a main eventer, right?
Yeah. He's got the personality and the
but Damien just doesn't have the charisma or personality to be a main eventer, and he's good in ring, but he's good without being great. Like, he's not gonna wow you in that ring in a match,
Right.
He can put on a good match with you, but yeah, I still think to this day his best match that he's ever had in his whole career in WWE has been with Bad Bunny. That was the best match I've ever seen him wrestle. But yeah, I just don't, and that's, again, it's not a knock on somebody by saying you're an upper mid card. I mean, hey, an upper mid card is better than just being a mid card or a low mid card or even a joke, so it's better than any of those. But yeah, I always see Damien and view him like, yeah, you could see him as an Intercontinental Champion or US Champion, but a tag team champion, but that's about it,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, Kofi, realistically, when you think about Kofi, he doesn't even really come across as a main eventer. So he was very, very, very lucky that he got that world title reign during Kofi Mania, and I purely think it was only because of the crowd reaction to the time. But he couldn't maintain that crowd reaction either. That lasted for a bit, and then when it started to die down, he's never been anywhere close to being up at that main event level again. And some guys, as I said, they just have that it factor when it comes to being a main eventer, and some just don't. And I just don't think Damien has that. You know? The one person that does in that whole group happens to not be male. Is Rhea. She's the only one that has main eventer written all over her.
Right.
Finn Balor at one point in time did, but like he's coming towards the tail end of his career now. I don't think people realize his age. And he's kind of like
he hides his age well.
Yeah, and because he got injured that time when he beat Seth like years ago, and then he had to hand the belt over because of injury and that. All momentum kind of got taken away, and then fans were like, he come back, and fans started slowly, and then he was out again, and I just think, you know, his body is slowly, you know, the injuries are catching up to him and that, and there's not that fan support around him anymore. Like, he brought back the Demon, what was it, months ago, or last year at some point, and compared to years past when he's brought that character out, there was no real fanfare for it at all. So he's like a forgotten person now as well, you know, and it's AJ's nearly getting to that status as well. You know, he had these few runs with world champion. When he first came in, everybody was all over AJ Styles. But you listen to the crowd reaction he gets now compared to what he got when those first few years after he had signed with WWE, it's completely different.
Right.
It's completely different. Like, people are starting to, I won't say fully lose interest in him, but, like, he's on the downward while LA Knight's on the upward, you know, kind of thing. What did Yobi say here? Once Rhea went to the Judgment Day and her whole gimmick chain, torpedo her up to the top. She is insane on the mic, in the ring, and the whole it fact. She's a bit, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, bro. And she's going to be at the top of the women's division for a long, long time. Like, she's only in her 20s. Far as I'm aware, I think mid to late 20s. So, again, she's got a long career ahead of her. But she's really the only thing that keeps Judgment Day interesting outside of R-Truth recently with his funny skits with it, you know, thinking that he's in there. If you didn't have Rhea and you didn't have R-Truth doing his thing, I don't think anybody gives a crap about the Judgment Day if it was just Damien, Mysterio and Finn.
And Finn.
Yeah.
Which I just looked up Finn, by the way. He's 42.
Yes.
Yeah. And his real name is Fergal.
Yes.
You don't get any more Irish than that.
No. Damien Priest, I believe, is also up there in age too. I think he's about, if he's not in his 40s yet, he's very close. And then you got little. I'm going to take R-Truth's name for him, Nick and Tom Mysterio.
Yeah.
Who are you talking about? Who's Nick and Tom? Nick and Tom. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, did you watch Friday's show? Did you see what R-Truth did?
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude.
It's supposed to be a Judgment Day. He got the chair. He sat on the chair. He's like, you might want to turn around. Oh man. It was funny, man. I've loved that whole thing. Like, this is why I say Truth is such a freaking a treasure, bro.
Yeah, because you never know what he's gonna fucking do.
No, he's just so freaking. He works as like, he can be a serious wrestler. Like, he's done that plenty of times in the past. But I really love the joking around Truth because it just fits him so well, and like him playing this character where he's not really with it, you know what I mean? Like, and then he confuses the hell out of everyone else. They're like, out of his goddamn mind. And like his interactions with JD,
right?
You know, especially when he's like, "Hey Finn, you're like the uncle," and blah blah blah. He's having that speech, and then JD's like the little cousin that you don't want around.
Yeah.
Man, he's comedy gold. He really is. And look, every wrestling company needs that comedic person, that comedic aspect, and this is why I say he is an absolute treasure for WWE, because he's a guy too. He hides his age so goddamn well. He's heading up towards 50, man. And you wouldn't be able to tell that with not only the way he looks still, but the way he still moves. Like, he is an absolute blessing, man. And like, as I said, you got all these other serious things going on and serious interactions and feuds going on. You need that little comedy aspect, man, and he helps with that. Even his like little things with Rhea, man, is freaking hilarious too. But yeah, I hope they have like him do something at WrestleMania. I don't know what, but have him involved in something like cost that. There you go. He could cost the Judgment Day the tag belts at WrestleMania. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, given what he did Friday, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, well, I think like characterization wise and story wise, like he's starting to come to the realization, okay, maybe I haven't been a part of Judgment Day, and they're just beating the crap out of me. This is not an idiot, you know. And he's starting to realize that from a story point of view. And
from a story point of view, yeah.
And so I mean, hey, it'd be a shock to see it happen with the particular team they're taking at Elimination Chamber. Maybe he costs them the belts at Elimination Chamber.
Yep.
Maybe.
I didn't realize. I'm looking at Finn's thing. I didn't realize he actually holds some records in WWE.
Yeah.
He won his first title at his inaugural pay-per-view event.
Yep.
And at only like a very short time after his premiere.
Yes.
Like 20-something days or whatever it was. I mean. Yeah. So at some point they were really looking at him to be, you know, a really bad. That was only that was 8 years ago. So he's only been part of the program for 8 years. So
yeah, man. He as I said, he is realistically like. I know he's sort of becoming the forgotten son now, but he is actually. He might not be the greatest on the microphone, but from a ring talent wise, he's an amazing talent. Like the stuff that he can do in a wrestling ring when he's allowed to just go out there and do his stuff, he's amazing. I mean, so is AJ Styles. But both of them are just kind of hanging in there and left to the wayside, and you know. But they're both at the tail end of their career. I know AJ's a bit older than him too, and I don't know how much time AJ's first Universal Champion. Good, another good point, Yobi. I don't know. I think Finn's got a bit more time to wrestle than AJ. I think AJ, he's got like a lot of lower back issues.
Yeah. Physically, Finn is in much better shape. Being 42. Holy crap.
AJ, I know, deals with a lot of lower back issues. He'd been dealing with that since like the last stint of his TNA run before he even went to Japan. And I think once his contract's up, he might. You know, there's a lot of speculation. He might come and finish his career back in TNA or go to AEW. No, I actually literally think once he finishes up with WWE, that probably will be it, because he's going to want to be at home and be able to run around with his kids. And as I said, his back over the years, because of his high-flying style, it's taken a lot of punishment. And he does. If I was him, I wouldn't want to be damaging it any more than where it already is. He's put it this way: he's probably going to end up with some sort of severe back issues, arthritis in the spine or whatever, you know, because of it. As I said, he deals with back pain each and every freaking day, probably more so than a lot of the other guys. As I said, because of he had a real careless style in his younger days. Like he put his body on the line. You go watch all his younger TNA stuff, he was insane. You know, people, there's WWE fans out there who goes, oh, he's insane. No, you haven't seen what AJ can really do. Not in WWE, because he had to readjust, not just for the WWE style, but to try and prolong his career. He couldn't keep wrestling the way he was. Like, crazy. I mean, the matches that was him against Joe, against Christopher Daniels, they had like a series of, oh my God, like the punishment just in those matches alone, you know, stuff that he did in Japan, like again, and they work a stiffer style. He's, I think he will hang it up once he's finished with WWE. And I don't think he goes elsewhere. I think he hangs it up. He claims his Hall of Fame ring and rides off into the sunset. Because, as I said, if he takes too much more critical damage to that back, he may end up in a freaking wheelchair and he might not be able to do what he wants to do with his family, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of reminds the same thing they always used to say about Mick too, because Mick tortured his body.
Oh, bro, yeah. And see, same with Kenny Omega. That's why I was perplexed that he re-signed with AEW when he had the chance to sign with WWE. I think it was last year, because the WWE style would have prolonged his career, and would have been more beneficial for his, ailing injuries and stuff like that. It just would have been better, but for whatever reason he decided against it. But he wrestled in Japan all his career, now in AEW. So man, the damage he's done to his body. He's another one that suffers a lot with back problems as well, neck problems. I think a couple of bad shoulder issues as well. I think once his contract that he's just, obviously re-signed last year's up with AEW, he might just fully then slip into a backstage executive role, that he's currently got anyway, but without wrestling. Because, at the end of the day, he'll want to be able to move about and do things still, not end up in a freaking wheelchair or anything.
I think a lot of these guys are going to end up in a freaking wheelchair at some point, But
Yobi said it best. He goes, that's why when people say wrestling is fake, I always tell them, look at Mick Foley from his start in wrestling and look at him now, especially his walk. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You
can tell that man has punished himself. He can't walk properly.
Yeah.
He did a lot of stuff, but the biggest damaging thing was that match with Taker. And he got put through he got thrown off the cell, but then he got put through the damn cell. And that's a long way to fall, not only just once, but twice.
Yeah.
And that was just in one match. The damage he would have done just in that match. And he did do damage. I believe he lost some teeth in that match too. But yeah,
I think he's lost his teeth more than once. Cause,
that man, he was in some brutal match, even in ECW in Japan, man. Like, he wrestled electric barbed wire matches, man. Like, Mick Foley. Yeah. Mick Foley went out there and just literally destroyed
broken
himself.
Glass, tacks on the mat.
Yeah, he destroyed himself for the entertainment of people, bro. He destroyed
and as much as I miss seeing matches like that because they were wild, I understand why they don't do them anymore because blood, gore, broken bones.
Yeah, man. And as I said, he destroyed. That's why WWE obviously changed a lot of their policies and they wrestle the safer style that they do because, one, they want to look out for their talent clearly, but it helps prolong their careers. They go wrestle in Mexico or Japan nowadays, they're just going to wreck you. It's just going to absolutely wreck you. And, there's a lot of guys that are paying for that now, and you're right, AJ. Sorry, Yobi. AJ did say he would retire. I remember him saying that in an interview that his WWE run would be it. Again, I don't blame him. He's another one who's done a lot of damage to his body, and he's got kids. I don't know how old his kids are now, but he's got kids. So, watch this. Mick Foley is the embodiment of putting your body on the line. Oh yeah, he's the poster child for it, bro. He's the poster child of what not to put your body through.
Toward the end there, and WWE's going, not a good idea, Mick.
No, exactly. Like, what are you doing, Mick? Come on now. But no, man. Look, Elimination Chamber is going to be fantastic. I always love watching those matches. I think both matches will be reasonably brutal. WWE style brutality, which they're willing to let people bleed, so that's all right. And I think you will in these type of matches. You generally do. I think in the men's match, I don't know if it'll happen in the women's match, but I think in the men's match, someone might actually get put through their pod.
Yeah.
I still remember Jericho getting speared through a pod one time by Goldberg. That was funny. And
Yeah.
and the plexiglass didn't break properly, so he kind of had to force.
Ow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn.
And that probably hurts more when the glass doesn't break the way it's supposed to.
No, and that plexiglass, I mean, that's hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's more safer to use, but it's still freaking hard. Honestly, I didn't know how Goldberg didn't knock himself because his head connected with it first when he speared.
Yeah.
I'm like, good guy, how did he knock himself out? But
well, and that's why
no,
I saw that. I saw an interview. I watched an interview the other day. But why, I forget who I was. Oh, I think it might have been Bret Hart going. I don't like Goldberg. He doesn't take care. He doesn't take care of his opponent.
No, he's hurt a lot of opponents.
Yeah.
He's never been a favorite wrestler of mine. I thought I remember the streak and everything, bro, when he was just running through people in WCW. But I thought he was boring. I was like, this guy only comes in, stands in his frickin' in his little fireworks as he comes out and breathes in the smoke, breathes it out, and then gets in there and does about 5 moves and then bang. But no, he was very careless. He cost Bret Hart just alone. Bret Hart, he cost $16 million frickin' dollars.
Yeah.
$16 million was left on the table because Bret's career was cut short because of him. You know? But he'd injured a bunch of others too. There's a bunch of others that have come out saying that he was very careless in the ring. And Jericho's even said it on the odd occasion. Like, he goes, he loved the feud because he loved taking the piss out of Goldberg, and he doesn't actually like Goldberg, but he said he was careless. You know, Jericho was probably one of the lucky ones that he didn't badly injure, but Bret Hart wasn't ready to fucking retire, man. He got made to retire because of that kick.
Because he talked about a few others that were careless too, and he said, look, you got to make sure your opponent's okay. He said, and he pointed a couple of examples when, the one who broke his neck and ended up being paralyzed because the tag team didn't take care of him. They continued with the match instead of. He said Owen was one of the best at taking care of his opponent because Owen had an opponent that was injured and realized it. So Owen, fed off the crowd for a few minutes and gave them time to recover, figure out how injured they were, and then continue with the match. So he said Owen was cognizant of watching, what his opponent was capable of.
Right,
at the time. Yeah. Which is what they should all do.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like that match that he had with Stone Cold, and Stone Cold wasn't positioned correctly, and he did the pile driver on him, and he broke Austin's neck. Like, it wasn't exactly Owen's fault because Owen was known as a safe worker. It was just pure accident. Because Undertaker's also done the tombstone to someone before, and it didn't position them properly, and their head, like, top of their head connected, and top vertebrae was broken. I just forget the wrestler, but it was pure accident. These again, Undertaker's another one who most people love working with because he's a safe worker. Most people love working with Owen because he was a safe worker. That was just a freak accident, and he broke character and gave a shit. About Steve. And that was good to see. He was concerned, like, oh shit. It didn't happen.
Instead of doing what the tag team said that I don't remember who it was, where they took their guy and they rolled him over on his back and did more. And so they actually did more damage and he ended up paralyzed.
Yeah.
Wish I could.
I'm
like, Dad, if I would have been in charge, they would have never wrestled again for me. I'm like, no, sorry.
No, exactly. But no, that's all we got for you this week, folks. I want to thank everybody, of course, for joining us from the legendary one himself, Mr. Peace Love Life, Yobi-san. Always great to see you, brother, in the chat. Got to get you up here very, very soon, talk wrestling, because you can go back as far as me and Paul, which we need up here with us. Of course, lovely girl, the Rockin' One, rocking out in the chat as well, having a few giggles, I see. Rourke, always great to have your support in here too, brother. Dreadpool as well, man with the mythical beard. Tim Air from across the pond, the British pond there. Have a cup of tea, Timmy, have a cup of tea. Great to see all the lurkers, of course, as well, if you're just tuning in to talk wrestling or hear us talk wrestling. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all the support. And I'm off on Monday, which is rarely I'll pull up. Yeah. Oh, he said about Brett. Yobi says, I understand what Brett says, but he also is to blame for his concussion after that kick. He chose to wrestle a few more matches after that, and he won't take ownership. Yeah, oh, well, that's true. That's true. He did wrestle a few more matches after that before his Lords of London, who was his supplier of his medical payouts and stuff like that, said, no, you're not allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah, but putting yourself at risk is different than putting others at risk. I mean, that's an athlete's way,
Yeah,
to deal with
yeah.
football players and stuff. They're the same way. I can go in, coach.
And probably another thing is he may not have realized
how bad it was.
The full severity of it. I'm not trying to give Brett excuses, but if he might not have, and again, especially with these guys, it's so fucking hard for them to let go. Look at Ric Flair, man.
Yeah,
it's so hard for them to let go. This, especially if this is all they know. And Bret Hart's admitted, he goes, it was hard to let go because this is all he knew. This is all his dad prepared him for. Like, he had no idea what he was going to do when there was no more wrestling. There's some football players out there that are the same. Football's everything to them, and they can't let go, and then they don't know. They're not unsure what they're going to do. I know there's a lot that, hey, we can go into commentary or we can become an analyst, whatever. But then there's a lot that are like, we don't know what to do with ourselves. A lot of professional athletes like that, but no. Again, we thank you all again for joining us. Just before we get into outros, quick note: we won't be going live next Monday evening, as I have some very important stuff going on. So it will be next Tuesday evening. We will be going live, and we will be talking all about the Elimination Chamber and going over those results. And any other bits and pieces of news
and for once, not only do we get to go over the pay-per-view, we get to go to the Raw after the pay-per-view.
Yes, and we can go over Raw too. Exactly. So it'll still be 8:30 p.m. Eastern start time. It'll just be next Tuesday evening instead of Monday evening, just so everybody is aware. All right, Paul.
Also next Tuesday, Centurion may be joining us.
Oh yes,
as well.
One and only Centurion. Yeah. But Paul, did you want to let the fine folks know where they can find you, my brother?
You can find me at X, formerly known as Twitch, or still Twitch, at Cerebral One. Or Cerebral, screwed myself up. Okay, Twitter, that X thing, at Cerebral One. Twitch, Cerebral Paul. Mondays and Thursdays, you can find me here on 4GQ TV. Mondays, of course, for the Pop-Up Powerbomb podcast. Except next week, it'll be Tuesday. And then on Tuesday, you can find me on the Xbox Ambassador channel, Gaming Differently with Cerebral Paul, 12:30 p.m. Pacific, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. That'll be like tomorrow. And then on Thursdays, and next Tuesdays usually also Retro Renegades, but I doubt I'm going to try to do that before I do this again. So that won't happen. And then, of course, Thursdays for GQ TV, where we talk about all things in gaming and elsewise related topics. And then on Fridays, we Wasted with Wise, where we just talk about whatever crosses our mind.
Yeah. Especially with Wise, it could be anything random.
Yep.
And, of course, you can find me on the Twitters, X, whatever you want to bloody call it, Under the Moon Mans. Of course, if you're gamer, on the Xbox app or Steam, if you're on Steam. And you can find me here every Monday evening. Usually every Monday evening, Powerbomb podcast with Cerebral One himself. But again, as I said a minute ago, next Tuesday, folks. Just remember that. And of course, every Wednesday evening with the Backlog Basses, where we talk all things gaming. But again, thank you everybody for joining us. We appreciate you all. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy the upcoming pay-per-view this weekend if you're tuning into it. Until next time, good night, everybody.